Podcast Network.
Hello and welcome to Whining About Herstory, a podcast where two longtime gal pals sip wine and talk about women from history you may not have heard of. I'm Kelley.
I'm Emily, and I'm super jazzed. It's week 2 of Pride Month.
I know. I'm really excited. Like, my research has been really fun.
So last week was kind of a downer. We covered Marsha P. Johnson, Sylvia Rivera, and their stories were really inspiring, but super frustrating.
Yeah, and
like
heartbreaking.
So many what the fuck moments. And so I really wanted to find someone where I was just like, this gal's a fucking firecracker. I'm so jazzed. And I knew I wasn't going to find anything that was like, no, this person's life was totally positive the entire time, because there's no like women's history story that ends up like that.
Right.
But I'm really excited to talk about my gal today.
Yeah, I am too. I'm totally jazzed.
I like how we end up on the same page a lot.
Right.
It's like we're synced up. Our hearts are synced up, Kelley. Our hearts are on the same cycle.
Our brainwaves.
Our hearts bleed at the same time a month.
Yeah.
Okay, so I picked out the wine today, and I picked out Kung Fu Girl Riesling, primarily just because the name, Kung Fu Girl. It sounds really badass.
Yeah, it does.
And even though the back of the bottle only has a government warning that says that pregnant women shouldn't drink, I was like, that's not very exciting to read. So I did go on their website, and I found a description of the wine. It takes an unconventional winemaker to make a totally unexpected dry Riesling. Yeah, this shit is dry. One night, Charles was eating Chinese takeout and watched a fight scene in a notorious martial arts film when he had an idea. A killer white wine made to be paired with Asian food. Just like that, Kung Fu Girl was born, and it's been kicking ass and taking names ever since. I guess I could see this being paired with Asian food.
Oh yeah, the sour would go really well with Asian food, I think.
I'm feeling a little guilty. So this is a wine from Charles Smith Wines, and I'm just imagining, I don't know who Charles Smith is, but I'm just imagining this white dude sitting on his couch, eating Chinese food, watching a martial arts movie and going, I'm going to make a white wine and call it Kung Fu Girl. It's going to go with Asian food. Like, I don't know. It just seems like a weird thing to me.
No, I agree. Like, it's very, like, Americanizing.
Yeah, which, I mean, God, that's what Chinese food is nowadays.
Right.
So, maybe it works. I don't know. I'm feeling a little guilty about buying the wine now. But just, I love the idea of this badass girl who's just going around kicking everyone in the nuts.
Of course, that would be your image.
Oh yeah, no, because even on the label, it's very abstract because it's like a white label and then Kung Fu Girl in black, and you see like the outline of the girl's face and hair, and then her hands are kind of like in a fighting stance. And it's like you're not even gonna fucking see her coming, and then she's gonna grab you by the throat and smash the patriarchy. Boom.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Love it. So where are we cheersing to today?
Why are you making me pick?
Because I didn't want to pick.
Cheers to finally having a nice weekend, because it's not supposed to rain.
Cheers to that. Clink.
I know I've probably said that before, but it's actually not supposed to rain this weekend.
Here's the thing. In Minnesota, nice weather is a God-given gift, and you do not
squander it.
Exactly. There was, on Memorial Weekend, it was super beautiful every day except for Monday.
Yeah. Yep.
Which was fine because I didn't want to do shit on Monday anyway. I was tired. But I went out and I was outside as much as humanly possible.
Oh yeah, I did a ton of gardening and stuff.
Yeah, took the dogs to the dog park twice, doing work outside, walking around. It was amazing. And then most of this week has sucked as far as weather. It got better, but
yeah, I suppose.
So before we dive into our gals, I have a say their name. So say their name is when we profile people who are doing awesome and amazing things, just in general. They're not going to get a whole episode, but we want to give them a shout out. And this week is Patty Hall. So Patty Hall is the president and co-founder of the charity H2O for Life. And they are an organization that raise awareness for the water crisis and work to bring fresh water to communities that don't have it. And I'm just going to read a little snippet from their website. It doesn't tell the whole story, but it gives you a general overview. H2O for Life provides a service learning opportunity for schools in the United States that helps teachers and students raise awareness about the global water crisis while taking action to provide funds for a water, sanitation, and hygiene education project for a partner school in the developing world.
And that's really cool.
Yeah, and you can go on their site, and they've even got like fundraising goals for different schools that they're trying to help out, and you can see like, hey, this is how much more money we need to do the project for the school. You can really donate. Cool. And then something else they do is some of the women in the communities where they supply water and get fresh water make these beads, and they make them into bracelets, and they sell the bracelets to help raise money for these efforts. So my dad actually knows Patty, and he bought me a bracelet to support her. Yeah, so I've got that. It's really beautiful. And like, he's telling me the story, and I'm like, this is so fucking cool. And this is a woman who I have like a degree of separation with, who's going out there and getting shit done.
Yeah, that's amazing.
And she's not just working to help communities in the developing world, but she's like doing the work at home too. Like, hey, we need to raise awareness because we need more people to take up this mission. So
yeah,
Patty Hall, cheers to you. Second cheers. Clink. Clink. This Riesling is really dry.
It's very sour.
It was so funny because Kelley was about to take a sip, and she goes, I know I'll like this. It's a Riesling. And instantly I'm like, Kelley, you fucked us. One sip and she's like, I don't know about this. It's not bad.
No, it's really not.
Well, and like, if you think about Asian takeout food, that's usually got pretty strong taste, so maybe something a little more mellow in a wine is best. I don't know. You know, we'll get this another time and we'll have Asian food, and then we'll be able to give you an accurate report.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Okay, so I'm going to start diving into my lady, who I'm very excited about. So today I am covering Gladys Bentley, Harlem Renaissance entertainer.
Oh.
Yes. So we're going to go all the way back to August 12th, 1907, when Gladys was born in Pennsylvania. Her father, George, was American, and her mother, Mary, was Trinidadian. I practiced saying that.
Trinidadian.
Trinidadian.
Are you sure that's the correct term? They're not like Trinidadianites?
Trinidadionians?
Yeah.
Trinidaditonians?
Yeah.
This is what's said on the wiki, so wiki's never wrong. 100% fact.
Everything on the internet is 100% fact.
Oh, yeah. So, unfortunately, hers was not a happy childhood. She was the eldest of 4 children in a low-income family, so Gladys struggled. It didn't help that Gladys's mother wished she had been a boy, which reminds me of, didn't Sylvia Rivera's mother wish she was a...
No, because she was a boy.
Oh, well, okay. Didn't she wish she was a girl? Like a genetic female?
I don't remember.
I thought there was some weird gender thing with her where like her parents wish she was this way, or...
No, because her dad abandoned her really young.
That's
and then
right.
Her mom killed herself.
Oh. So
and
grandma
was raising her and didn't like that she was effeminate.
Okay, that's it. God, I forgot how fucking sad that story was. Thanks for bringing me down.
You get to bring us back up.
Okay. Well, we're going to have to work our way up there. So, Gladys's mother wished that she had been a boy. Gladys later wrote in her life, quote, when they told my mother that she had given birth to a girl, she refused to touch me. She wouldn't even nurse me. And my grandmother had to raise me for 6 months on a bottle before they could persuade my mother to take care of her own baby.
That's heartbreaking.
It's not even like the mother came around. They had to be like,
You're
Mary,
taking care of your baby.
Take your fucking kid, get your shit together, put it in a bag, grow up and be a mom here.
Right, like if you didn't want a kid, you shouldn't have had one.
Well, she did want a kid, but she wanted a boy.
Yeah.
This rejection made Gladys resentful towards her brothers, and she hated the idea of a man touching her. Because obviously her brothers were the boys her mom always wanted. Which, here's the thing, though. If you are like, if I don't have this type of child, I'm not going to be happy, don't fucking have kids. Just please don't.
Right? Please.
Save us.
Save everyone. Adopt. And adopt the gender you want.
Yeah. Do it. Just don't fucking have your own kids if you're going to be a shitty parent. So, from a young age, Gladys didn't conform to gender norms of the day. She wore boys' clothes, had a crush on a female elementary teacher, and didn't behave in a ladylike manner. She wrote, quote, "It seems I was born different. At least I always thought I was." Disturbed by their daughter's lack of dress wearing, Gladys's parents took her to the doctor because, this was clearly a medical issue.
Clearly.
You're wearing pants?
How dare you?
You probably have Ebola. Like, isn't that a symptom of Ebola? You don't want to wear you don't want to wear dresses. You clearly have malaria. Gladys was later diagnosed with extreme social maladjustment, which is old-timey speak for not conforming to gender norms. And it's bullshit. This toxic home life drove Gladys to run away to Harlem when she was 16 years old in 1923. I mean, I can't fucking blame her.
Right? Like, I probably would have ran away too.
Yeah. And let's just remember, this kind of shit is still happening. This isn't like a 1920s problem.
No, not at all.
Again, if you can't accept your kid, just don't fucking have one. All right? All right. Good to know we're on the same page. Gladys had a natural talent as a pianist and blues singer. She quickly found work as a performer, especially in speakeasies, which were popular during Prohibition.
Yep.
Because this is during.
I was right about that time.
Yeah. So America did this really fun thing for about 10 years where they were like, hey, what if booze was illegal?
And then everyone in America was like, how about not?
Yeah. I feel like, here's the thing, when you think of the Roaring 20s, I instantly imagine everyone with a drink in their hand.
Yeah. Drinking, dancing, the flapper dresses,
yes.
Like shorts. That was like the women's revolution. All of a sudden people were wearing shorter skirts and stuff.
And cutting their hair, which was a big deal at the time.
But yeah, I think of booze.
It's okay because
I think of like Gangster Run.
Oh yeah,
speakeasies. That's
like
what my mind goes to.
Well, it's okay though because they re-legalized booze right in time for the Great Depression when everyone needed it and no one could afford it.
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah, way to go, America. She started out recording 8 tracks of music for $400, which to me seems like kind of a lot now.
Did you do a comparison?
I didn't for this one, but I'm like, you're a 16-year-old runaway. $400 is pretty good money.
Yeah.
Then she heard that a local gay bar, Harry Hansberry's Clam House, was looking for a male pianist. And I'm imagining like a lesbian bar. It's called the Clam House.
Right, that's the first thing on my mind,
Instantly, I was like, so is it a lesbian bar? Already perfectly comfortable wearing suits, Gladys began playing there dressed as a man under the stage name Barbara Bobby Minton. She started out at $35 a week.
So wait, they wanted a man, but she went by a stage name of a female.
Yeah, so she dressed like a man, had a stage name, Barbara Bobby Minton. Like, maybe she mostly went by Bobby? I don't know.
I'm just saying, they wanted a male pianist, and she's going by a female name. Like, that's really interesting.
Well, because women couldn't wear pants. So they were just looking for someone who could wear pants. And she's like, hey,
I wear pants.
I can wear pants. I love wearing pants. I feel so free.
It's all for the pockets, man.
Oh my God. Dresses today don't have pockets. Can you imagine the ones back then?
Yeah.
And those women were working in those dresses. Like, they weren't just to look good. So Gladys started out at $35 a week and eventually went up to $125 a week due to her success. She became so popular that the bar was renamed Barbara's Exclusive Club after her stage name.
I was really hoping that it was going to be like Barbara's Clam Shack or, something like that.
Something that like sounds so tacky. It's the Clam Shack. It's where all the hip people go and hang out. It's a shack. We got clams. We got jazz. It's a good time.
Right? Exactly. No one would think it's a speakeasy.
Oh, yeah. No. It's the Clam Shack. That's just where they all eat clams, right?
It's like going to Maine.
Yeah, it's
Well,
Maine and
lobsters,
Harlem.
But yeah.
They got clams.
I'm sure they do.
Maine knows their clams. Gladys then began performing at the Ubangi Club on Park Avenue, where she created her own musical revue with a chorus of 8 male dancers, all in drag.
So she was a woman dressing in drag as a man, and she made a review of men dressing in drag as women. That's awesome.
Yes! See, she's such a fucking firecracker. And, like, in a lot of the articles I read, they described how she was dressing, like, in drag, but I don't think she was, like, trying to pass as a man. I think she was just more comfortable in masculine clothing. Like, if today...
She kind of looked like a magician in the one picture you showed me of her.
I showed Kelley a picture, and I'll get into this, but her signature look is this, like, white suit with a cane and a white top hat, and she's, like, a bit of a bigger girl, and she just looks like she could rock your fucking world.
Right? She looks comfortable. She looks strong, and she's just like, yeah, this is me. Fuck you.
Yes, and I love it. But it's like, nowadays we try not to gender clothing as much. I mean, we're getting there. So I'm like, her wearing a suit doesn't necessarily scream drag to me.
Mm-hmm.
I guess it all depends on how she viewed it, but she was just always more comfortable in men's clothing, but she didn't identify as a man.
Yeah.
So, like, I don't really know how to classify it. I'm not an expert. I just have a podcast. I don't know shit.
No, Emily, everything you hear on the internet is true. We know everything.
We know all the things. We're kind of a big deal.
Kind of.
So she started making enough money that she was able to afford a $300 a month apartment on Park Avenue along with servants and a nice car. Like, I don't know anything about New York, but Park Avenue, isn't that a pretty big fucking deal?
It's a pretty big deal. And the fact that she had servants and a car in the 1920s, maybe 1930s-ish.
It's really interesting that you say that because alternative sources say she may have actually been living in her girlfriend's penthouse. But I like to think she was making bank and, like, taking care of herself, and her girlfriend lived with her.
Yeah, maybe.
Gladys' signature look was a white tuxedo and a white top hat. Her acts included overt sexuality, and her deep voice appealed to audiences across the sexual and racial spectrum. In her songs, she would call out misogyny and sing about sexual relationships, including her own with women. She was, like, she was never in the closet.
No, she was like, this is who I am. I wear pants, and I like to fuck women.
Yes, because women are amazing. Remember, this is the 1930s and 20s, so this was a really big fucking deal. She would also put a sexy spin on popular songs of the day, like a really sexually charged Weird Al Yankovic. I like to imagine. That's my own assessment.
Wearing that kind of suit.
That's my own assessment of the situation. By 1933, Gladys was headlining at prominent nightclubs and theaters, including the Apollo.
Oh, that's huge.
Mm-hmm. Her skill didn't go unnoticed. Langston Hughes, who, if you don't know, is a big fucking deal.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Wrote of Gladys, and this is kind of a long quote, but it perfectly describes her. For 2 or 3 amazing years, Miss Bentley sat and played piano all night long with scarcely a break between the notes, sliding from one song to another with a powerful and continuous underbeat of jungle rhythm. Miss Bentley was an amazing exhibition of musical energy, a large, dark, masculine lady whose feet pounded the floor while her fingers pounded the keyboard, a perfect piece of African sculpture animated by her own rhythm.
That's amazing.
Let's remember
I want to be described that way.
This dude was a poet, so like...
Yeah.
No, isn't that such an amazing description, though?
Right, and it's not just the normal descriptions of, oh, she was beautiful. Like, no, she's this strong, powerful, masculine lady who dances to her own beat. Like, that's amazing.
African sculpture. Like, that is, boom! I fucking love it. In 1932, Gladys publicly married a white woman during a civil ceremony in New Jersey. Unfortunately, we don't know who the white woman was or much about their marriage.
I didn't even know that was legal.
Well, I don't think they were legally married. I think it was
she
just...
said she was a man.
Well, she was pretty popular. I'm pretty sure everyone knew
Right?
who she was.
That's what I was thinking.
And I think it was just like before same-sex marriage was legalized in the United States, couples would have commitment ceremonies where it's like, hey, we may not legally be married, but we're having a ceremony to declare our devotion to each other.
Okay, that makes sense.
Because fuck you, U.S. government. I'm gonna get my cake. I'm gonna have my party. I'm gonna cheers, and we're gonna have a rehearsal dinner. We're gonna do the whole shebang, and I don't need your fucking wedding license, because fuck you.
Exactly.
But I'm glad they finally were able to get their wedding licenses, seriously. Do you remember when same-sex marriage was legalized?
It was such a big deal.
We were living together at the time, and I had like gotten home from work. I don't remember if it was you or your husband, but you were like, "Oh, hey, did you hear?" And I was like, "No, it wasn't." Like,
yeah, you were like, yeah, right. And I was like, no, Minnesota like legalized same-sex marriage.
well, no, it was
or
the
national
nation.
one?
Yeah, because Minnesota didn't get on board until it was just nationally legal. And I was like, how did I go through my whole day and haven't heard of this? Yeah. Like, it's 6 o'clock.
I remember that you were kind of mad. You were like, come on.
Well, I mean, I was super excited it was legalized, but I was like, what? I don't believe you. There's no way. And it was amazing. Like, it was a great moment.
Yes. Progress.
Getting there. Okay. So then the cat fight started.
Meow.
When Gladys tried to take her show to Broadway in 1933, the owners of the Clam House Club she had been playing at sued her, saying that the club had been built around Gladys's music and that they had a 5-year contract with Gladys and her performances. This led to a Supreme Court battle as Gladys tried to take more control over her career. Yeah. So she's like, I'm ready to move on and do bigger shit and bring my amazingness to a larger audience. And they're like,
no.
No, because we're going to be sunk without you. Like, fuck you guys. Despite the suit, Gladys did move her act to Broadway. Unfortunately, she was too fucking awesome, and her raunchy performances caused people to get their pantaloons in a twist, and police began locking the doors of places she performed. Boo.
Like, so people couldn't get in?
I think it was like she couldn't get in.
Wow.
Yeah, so like people are complaining because they don't like what she's
so they're like
throwing down.
We're gonna lock the doors and you can't perform here.
Exactly. Like they were shutting her down before she even got a chance.
Ugh, that's shitty.
Which like, since when did the police like
do that?
Since when did cops police art? Like, if you don't like a show, don't go to it.
Right.
Like, unless it's a hate rally.
It's like, back then it was probably like, Broadway was probably like super hoity-toity and like, so it was probably people paying the cops like, hey, we don't want her.
Well, also she's a lesbian of color, so she doesn't really have rights in the first place. We're talking about this as if she has rights like everyone else, when we know societally she just didn't.
Yeah. Doesn't make me mad.
Yeah. No, I'm pissed. She was fucking wasted on these people.
Right.
That is the whole moral of the story.
Josephine Baker, when, she was living it up in France, everyone loved her. She came back to the United States and they were like, you're a woman of color, get off the stage.
Yes. God, it's so frustrating. And it's like, I would have loved to see these women perform in real life. I don't get the chance, and all of you past people
had the chance and you fucked it up.
Fuck you, past people. You suck.
Right.
They are wasted on you. Unfortunately, all of this bullshit forced her to move back to Harlem, where she performed at the Ubangi Club for 3 more years before it closed in 1937. And this place was like a really big deal in Harlem and during the Harlem Renaissance. And I Googled it, and oh God.
You can't say Google in this house.
Oh shit. The NSA's listening in. But this place was a really big deal during the Harlem Renaissance, and there's tons of articles and websites about it. It's still open, just under a different name.
Obviously it closed at some point, you said.
Yeah, in 1937. I didn't get into it. I didn't really care. But if you're interested, there's resources.
There. The building, it's there.
Yeah. The decline of Prohibition was great for everyone, especially wine-loving podcast hosts.
Yay.
Hey! High fives. But it resulted in the decline of Harlem speakeasies, which hurt Gladys's career. She moved to Southern California, where she played at gay nightclubs and was billed as America's greatest sepia piano player and the brown bomber of sophisticated songs.
I don't think I've ever heard anyone of mixed races referred to as sepia before.
I actually have it in my notes. It took me a while to figure out what the fuck they were talking about.
That weird,
it's that old-timey
color from old-timey photos.
Yeah. And I was like, what the? I was like, no, because this is the time of sepia. Your photos are sepia. What the fuck? Like,
I know.
Like, because I thought it was like, oh, she's like old-timey. And I was like, oh.
No, it's a racial slur.
Well, racial comment at the very least.
True. It might not have been a slur.
What hurt her more than the end of Prohibition, however, was the government's increasing criminalization of the LGBTQ plus community.
Which we all heard about last week.
Oh my God. And this is even further back. Like,
yeah, exactly.
Things are not good. Due to federal laws, Gladys had to carry a special permit to be allowed to perform in her signature suits. What do you have to do to qualify for a permit to wear pants?
Right.
Was it like driver's ed?
The first thing is you have to have a vagina and want to wear pants. That's step one.
Okay.
I have no idea what, like, step 2 would be, and then step 3 is get the permit. It's like the underpants gnomes in South Park. Step 1, have a vagina, want to wear pants. Step 2, step 3, get a permit.
Fucking A. But, like, I'm imagining it's like driver's ed, like, okay, you need to demonstrate that you know how to put on pants.
Can you walk in them?
Can you walk in them? Can you run in them in case of an emergency?
Can you sit without tearing your pants?
Can you take them off quickly enough so you can have sexual relations with a man when he demands it?
Yeah, that sounds about right.
I don't think I would have been allowed to wear pants.
No, I don't think I would have never qualified for that.
I just would have been like a pissy little bitch and not gotten my fucking permit.
Right.
I would have gotten like a bootleg permit.
Yeah.
It's like people create fake IDs. I would have gotten my fake pants permit.
Like, it'd just be one of those, like, you flash it real quick so they don't actually see what it is.
Yes.
Yeah, I got a permit.
Like, do you get stopped on the street? Like, ma'am. I see you wearing pants there. Can do you have a permit to wear those pants? Do you have a permit? Reach for it very slowly because I'm feeling very threatened by your pants right now. Like, I don't know what's in those pockets. You're a lady. I don't fucking understand you. Okay. So, she faced harassment for wearing men's clothes or, just fucking existing. So she's having a hard time just being a lesbian of color who
wants to wear pants.
Then, in the 1950s, everyone's favorite witch hunter came on the scene. U.S. Senator Joseph McCarthy, a.k.a. Wisconsin's greatest shame. Did you know that? Did you know he was in Wisconsin?
I don't know if he's the greatest shame of Wisconsin.
Hey, I know he's competing.
He's up there.
I know he's competing with Ed Gein, but he's fucking up there.
Right, yeah. And a few other murderers,
Oh, yeah, Jeffrey Dahmer was from Wisconsin, too. There's a lot of things
that come out of Wisconsin.
Man, he's on a really terrible list.
Yeah.
So for those of you who don't know, McCarthy was an infamous fearmonger who was super popular during the Cold War era when everyone was waiting for Russia to nuke the United States. McCarthyism, the practice of accusing people of treason, being a communist, or wherever else you felt like, was named after him. So his whole deal was everyone was afraid that communism was going to take over. Yeah. And so he's like, oh, hey, you stood in line with someone who knows someone from Russia. You're a fucking communist.
Right, or he was the one that was like, oh, watch your neighbors. They could be communists. Like, he was really big on, like, everybody spy on everybody else because everyone's a fucking communist.
Yeah, he's like, oh, you're, the enemy next door kind of guy.
Yeah.
And if you spoke out against the government or against this fear-mongering shit, you were a communist. Charlie Chaplin got deported because of that.
It was a huge part of what was known as the Red Scare. Like, he was a huge part of that.
And he was a dick about it.
Yeah, he was.
Huge dick about it. But they weren't just looking for communists. They were just looking kind of for anyone who didn't meet this, like, all-American apple pie, white picket fence bullshit.
It was kind of like America's less scary version of Hitler.
I don't know how I feel about that comparison. I totally get what you're saying because they're looking for people. They're looking for anyone to try to persecute.
Early Hitler.
I mean, definitely,
when they started
fascist.
Making him wear, like, stars and shit before the, you know, terrible thing.
Yeah, there's definitely like some fascist undertones going on here. And it was just a really bad time. So for a woman of color who's a lesbian wearing men's clothes, it was not a safe time to be around, especially because she was in the spotlight. She couldn't just like hide under the radar. Everyone knew who she was. Just as a coincidence, Gladys suddenly began wearing dresses and married a man whom she'd only known for 5 months. I wonder why. It's not like she was trying to keep from being persecuted by the government or anything.
Right, or arrested or, you know, whatever.
Otherwise harassed or, you know.
Murdered.
Yeah, no, seriously. That's definitely something that could happen. It was a legitimate fear. So she claimed she had been cured of her lesbianism by taking female hormones and undergoing an operation. She and her husband divorced later, and the dude later denied that he and Gladys were ever married. Like, this just all strikes me as cover bullshit, because she was such a confident and outspoken and out person that the fact that there's suddenly this complete 180 in denial, I'm like, I
feel like there had to be something that happened, like maybe someone like actually approached her, or you know, like there was maybe some violence or, you know, like something that made her be like, okay, no, I have to do this, like,
right,
because she was so outspoken, and there were so many times that they're like, you can't do that, and she's like, well, I'm gonna do it anyway,
watch me.
That why would this time be different? So I almost think there had to be like a sparking moment that she just didn't tell anyone.
Yeah, because I couldn't find like a trigger moment or anything other than McCarthyism coming about. But I mean, you're right. There's probably something that we don't know about.
Right.
Something that made her afraid enough to be like, okay, I have to start conforming.
Right.
Which is awful.
Because like maybe someone threatened her wife, or, you know, like.
And just that she's forced, like, back in the closet, basically.
Right.
Fucking
and to
sucks.
be like, oh, I'm not a lesbian anymore, and I'm gonna wear dresses, and, you know, la-di-da.
Yeah, it's sad. She also alleged that she was married to another man, but that marriage could never be verified. So that could also be part of her cover. That she's like,
just like, no, I'm married.
I've been married to tons of men. I love dick.
Yeah.
I love stroking it and looking at it. And
that's what dresses are for, right? Like,
it's so
no pants to take off then.
You know, I really struggled with the pants taking off portion to get my permit, and I just figured dresses are easier. On January 8th, 1960, at the age of 52, Gladys died unexpectedly from pneumonia in her Los Angeles home. It's just like a freak thing. Like, they originally thought it was Asian flu or something.
Exactly.
And
like, that's kind of how pneumonia is. It's like, sometimes you actually have something else, and then it turns into pneumonia, and then you die.
I knew this girl where she was just, like, sick for a really long time, and we thought it was like, oh, the cold and flu, and then all of a sudden, oh, by the way, she's in the hospital because she has fucking pneumonia.
Yeah, one of my friends had that this year, actually. Like, she had, like, a cold for a really long, like, 3 or 4 weeks, maybe even a month or two, and she finally, like, went in, and they were like, oh, yeah, you have a ton of fluid in your lungs. You have pneumonia. So you're going to stay here for a few days.
Jesus. And that's the thing. Like, I hate going to the doctor unless I really deeply believe something is horribly wrong.
That's probably why it took her so long to go.
Yeah.
She's the same way. And I would be the same way, too.
Well, because I don't want to pay to go to the doctor because it's fucking expensive.
Right.
Like, I have insurance, and it's still expensive to go to the doctor.
Yeah. That's a topic for another day.
Yes. Just before her death, she had been ordained as a minister, but never got her official paperwork.
Aww.
So, like, later on, she'd become really involved in the church, and, you know, she was wearing dresses and stuff. And, like, I hope being a minister and working in the church genuinely made her happy, and it wasn't a part of this cover. But it just seemed like she had this really stark change in how she behaved and carried herself.
Right. It's very odd.
Yeah. Okay, legacy, because this is where we're going to bring it back up a little bit. Gladys was challenging societal norms of gender, sexuality, and entertainment from day one. Her masculine attire and public relationships with women in a time where being out was dangerous and unaccepted. Gladys never attempted to pass as a man, but displayed an energy of black female masculinity that challenged her audience's views on race and sexuality. She was a goddamn queen, and I desperately wish we could have seen her perform.
Right? Like, I think that would have been a great show.
And again, I shouldn't have to reiterate this, but she was wasted on everyone in the past. You guys did not appreciate her enough.
No, it's
but
bullshit.
We do. So, Gladys, I think you deserve an extra cheers. I moved Kelly's wine glass away from her, so she's holding up her water cup. Hold on.
I finished my wine already.
Clink!
Even though I had more than Emily.
I was talking this whole damn time. Here. I'm pouring my wine into yours. I'm going to a movie like right after this, so I can only have a few sips of wine anyway.
All right. I guess I will get on to my lady then. You know, I won't keep you waiting.
You know what, Kelly? I got other shit to do. Fucking, you were invited.
I know.
Don't
It's
you
my own fault.
We're
not going to talk about that. All right.
Abandon me, you ass.
Right. My lady, and I'm going to apologize. There's a lot of French in this.
What is wrong with you
I
with
know.
all the French?
Because she's awesome. She's so cool.
You fucking love the French.
I know, apparently. I don't think they love me for my pronunciation, though.
Hey,
Okay.
if you live in France, give Kelly some love because I'm clearly not being supportive.
So her name is Julie de Aubigny. That's what we're going to go with.
Julie de Aubigny.
Yeah, there you go. Well,
She
just
just,
have Emily
like,
do my French for me.
Cop out at the end.
Yeah.
Just like drop your jaw and just go.
Known as one of history's greatest rascals, also known as La Maupin, she is a sword-slinging opera singer and larger-than-life bisexual celebrity of the 17th century France. Her life was a whirlwind of duels, seduction, grave robbing, and convent burning, so intense that she had to be pardoned by the King of France. Twice.
Fucking strap in, strap on, because it is going to be a wild ride, you guys.
This girl's amazing.
I am so excited. I am salivating.
You're like, eh.
That's what I do when I get excited. I salivate.
Julie was born in France around 1673, so we're going even farther back in time.
Oh my god. You just have to one-up me every fucking time, don't ya?
She was the only child to a secretary to King Louis XIV's Master of Horse. So he wasn't the Master of Horse, he was the secretary to the Master of Horse.
He took down all the horse notes.
So the Master of Horse was named Count de Armagnac, and he was one of France's great nobles at the time. So that's the person her dad worked for.
He was the horse guy. He was the horse guy.
So first she lived in the riding stable at the Tuileries Palace in Paris, where she learned to ride and take care of horses. And then she moved to court with her father to the opulent Palace of Versailles in 1682. See, Versailles I know how to pronounce.
I was going to say, I recognize that name.
Even though it looks like Versailles.
That
we're not getting into that.
That is what makes me question every single French word, because the ones I do know how to pronounce, I'm like, I would have never guessed.
Right, exactly. So while her father worked in King Louis XIV's luxurious court, Julie grew up in the less glamorous quarters, namely the great stables. Because remember, her dad worked for the stable master.
So she's chilling with the horses.
Yep. As the man in charge of training Louis's pages, her father would fence nonstop during the day and hit up gambling dens, bars, and brothels in the evenings.
When did he take his horse notes then?
Apparently, his boss did the horses. Apparently, this guy trained the court pages.
In fencing?
In fencing.
What is...
I don't know.
I don't know what that fucking has to do with being a secretary of horses, but whatever.
Julie excelled at fencing from a very early age, and her father chose to educate his only child alongside the young boys he taught. It was while training alongside the court pages that her love for dressing up as a boy first began, because obviously you can't fence in a dress.
I mean,
apparently.
You can, but I'm sure it's a lot easier to fence in pants.
Right.
Did she have to get a pants permit?
No. In 1687, the Count de Armagnac, so her father's boss, took her for his mistress when she was only 14 years old.
Ew!
It's kind of normal for the time.
I don't fucking care. That's so gross.
He then married her to Sieur de Maupin of Saint-Germain-en-Laye, and she became Madame de Maupin, or simply La Maupin, per the French custom at the time. However, soon after her wedding, her husband received an administrative position in the south of France, but the Count kept Julie in Paris.
Okay, so she's married to this dude who moves away, and then
she's sleeping with the Count.
And
her
then
dad's boss.
The Count that's been fucking her since she was 14 gets to keep fucking her.
Yeah, even though he's the one that married her off.
What the actual... Because he knew he could keep her.
Exactly.
He's like, oh, no, you're married and it's all respectable, but I still get to keep fucking your underage ass. Gross.
Yeah.
Fucking
It
gross.
gets better.
I hate this.
No, it legit gets better.
Okay.
She soon ran away to Marseille with her fencing instructor, Sarane, and after scraping a living between them from performing fencing demonstrations and singing at fairs and in taverns, which included impromptu shows by La Maupin dressed in male clothing. However, she never concealed that she was a woman.
Yeah, she just
was
wearing
more
pants.
comfortable. Yeah, and she was already so skilled with the sword at this point in her life. She quickly surpassed her lover, who was a fencing master, and the audiences would sometimes not believe that she was actually a woman. One time, a drunken onlooker proclaimed loudly that she was actually a man, so she tore off her shirt, providing him ample evidence to the contrary, and he had no comeback.
You're a dude! Do these look like a man's tits? Yeah!
Yeah, right.
That's exactly what she said, historical quote. Whining about Herstory canon.
Yep. On arrival in Marseille, she joined the opera company run by Pierre Gaultier. Her name sounds familiar. Maybe it's just because of my notes. Singing under her maiden name. Eventually, she grew bored of Saranes and became involved with a young woman, a local merchant's daughter. She's on to her third lover by now. Because she had the Count, her fencing instructor, and now this woman.
Okay.
The merchant, desperate to separate the two, because, two women,
Gross.
sent his daughter to a convent. However, our heroine found a loophole.
What did it involve a match and some gasoline and maybe some kindling?
Maybe. La Maupin followed, and entered the convent as a postulant, which is like someone seeking to be like a nun or like in like church, basically
nun in training.
Yeah. And she started hooking up with her intended in the house of God.
Yes!
In order to run away with her new lover, she stole the body of a recently deceased nun, placed it in the bed of her lover, and then set the room on fire to cover her escape.
Oh my fucking God, this is amazing.
Yeah. Their affair lasted for 3 months before the young woman was returned to her family by La Maupin. This woman has, like, a serious case of being allergic to boredom.
I was gonna say, like, she burnt a dead body to break this chick out of a convent. She burnt a dead nun.
And 3 months later, she's just like, meh.
I mean, how do you top burning down a convent?
It's crazy. I don't think I can, but I'm still going to keep telling her story.
Do you think she's like the ladies in action movies where, like, she and the other character, like, they're so energized by all the adrenaline in an action scenario where they, like, fuck?
Yeah.
And then once that's over, like, those relationships aren't sustainable.
Exactly.
She was just
it's like they say if you want to, like, really make sparks, quote, I'm doing finger quotes.
I was going to say she's, like, enthusiastically doing finger quotes.
They say on your first date, take someone to, like, a horror movie because being scared, like, and having that comfort is very akin to falling in love.
Yes.
Like, and it's, the same thing you see in action movies, that they're fueled by that adrenaline and fear. But usually those relationships won't last. In the action movies, the horror movie is a good way to, like, kind of jumpstart things.
Yeah. I saw this thing. It was a study. It was on TV years ago, so I don't even know if it's valid anymore. But they had a woman who was going around, and she would, like, stand in a park. Yeah. And when men would come by, and she was like a cute young woman.
Yeah.
She would ask them a series of questions for a survey and then give them her information, be like, oh, if you have any questions, call me. And she did this twice, one where she was just in a park and another time when she was on a bridge. And the men that she met on the bridge were, like, significantly more likely to call her.
Interesting.
Because just being on the bridge, that's a precarious place.
Yep.
Yeah. So there's an extra level of adrenaline in an otherwise completely normal situation.
That's super interesting. Yeah. I could see that.
I'm kind of loving her, though.
Yeah. She's great. So, at this point, La Maupin was charged in absentia, which means she wasn't there to be charged. as a male. So she was charged as a male.
Loophole!
With kidnapping, body snatching, arson, and failing to appear before the tribunal.
I mean, all of this is fucking true.
The sentence for this is death by fire.
Oh, shit. Well, she's very accustomed with fire.
Yep. At this point, Lama Pin left for Paris and again earned her living by singing. Near Poitiers, she met an old actor named Maréchal who began to teach her until his alcoholism got the worst of him and he sent her on her way to Paris.
What does that mean?
I think he was just getting too drunk, so he was just like, I can't teach you.
Oh, okay.
So this is all while making her way to Paris.
All right.
In Villeperdue, still wearing men's clothes, she was insulted by a young nobleman. They fought a duel, and she drove her blade through his shoulder.
Get it, girl.
The next day, she asked about his health and found out that he was Louis Joseph de Albert Louenes, son of the Duke of Louenes. Later, one of his companions came to offer her apologies, and she went to his room, and subsequently they became lovers. And later, lifelong friends.
Oh my god. You talk about meet cutes?
Yeah,
How'd
right?
you guys meet?
Well, I stabbed him in the shoulder.
He was being kind of a dick, and so I stabbed him in the shoulder. And we had a good laugh about it, because he's like, yeah, I was being kind of a dick. I deserved it.
Right.
You know, it was just really sexy how she penetrated my shoulder with that sword.
Yeah, right.
And then she
It's a
came to
perfect
visit
meet
me, and
cute.
it was really cute. Yeah.
Right.
God, me and Jared need to up our game.
I
We're not
know.
that cute.
So, after the Count recovered, he had to return to his military unit, and Lama Pin continued on to Rouen. There, she met Gabriel Vincent Thévenard, there's an N in there, another singer, and began a new affair with him. Together, they returned to Paris, and on their first day there, while Julie was visiting her old lover, the Count de Armagnac,
So
remember, her
the
father's
first
boss.
dude
Yep.
who's a piece of shit.
to convince him to arrange a pardon for her little indiscretion in the province.
It was a big misunderstanding. She didn't want to be at the convent. The nun was already dead.
Right.
They believe in cremation anyway.
So while she was over there convincing him to get her a pardon, Thévenard, her current lover, auditioned for the opera in Paris and was hired immediately. His only condition to join was that Julie also be allowed to audition, and the opera reluctantly agreed. So, by the age of 17, she found herself a member of one of the world's greatest musical companies.
Wait, so she has done all of this and she is only 17 at this
Yep.
point?
Makes you feel like an underachiever, doesn't it?
Oh my god, I am wasting my
I
life.
know.
I have stabbed
We have a
so
podcast.
few men.
We have a podcast.
I have burnt down
I know,
so
I'm like,
few
I need to go
convents.
burn down a convent.
That's all you need to catch up.
So the Paris Opera hired her in 1690, and there she befriended an elderly singer. Oh, so she did get pardoned, so that's her first pardon by the king.
Oh,
of France.
okay.
So she befriended an elderly singer named Bouvard, and he and Thévenard convinced Jean-Nicolas de Francine, master of the king's household, to accept her into the company. So it was through Thévenard's convincing and somebody else that
he
she
swung
got
his
into
dick
the
around
opera.
for good.
She debuted in Pallas Athena in Cadmus et Harmonie by Jean-Baptiste Lully the same year. She performed regularly with the opera, first singing as a soprano and later in her more natural contralto range. That's actually my range too. That is the lowest range for an alto.
See, I know there's like soprano 1, soprano 2, and alto. I didn't know there were different altos, but
Yeah,
that's
there
because...
is. And then, contralto is like the lowest female range.
Okay. Because like when I sang in treble choir...
I'm 100% in that range because I can sing almost to bass level.
Do it.
But no.
Do it.
Nope.
Do it.
Nope.
If you want to hear Kelley sing
I need
bass...
more wine.
If you want to hear Kelley sing bass, email us at whiningaboutherstory@gmail.com. Did I embarrass you? I'm
yes,
sorry.
a little bit. The Marquis de Dangu wrote in his journal of a performance by Lama Pin given at the Trianon of Destoches Omphal in 1701 that hers was, quote, the most beautiful voice in the world, end quote. People liked her.
She's like not real. I can't imagine this being a real person, and I love it because she's a badass. She's a strong sexual being. She's a great singer. She's a great swordsman. Like,
right. So her name slightly changed when she entered the opera, because, you know, she went by La Maupin, as was kind of what happened in France to married women. But as an actor, she became Mademoiselle de Maupin, because singers were always addressed as Mademoiselle, whether they were married or not.
Okay.
Due to her beautiful voice, her acting skill, and her androgynous attire, she became quite popular with the audience, although her relationship with her fellow actors and actresses were sometimes tempestuous. She famously beat the singer Louis Gernald de Mency after he pestered women of the members of the troupe. She responded by ambushing him, pushing a sword in his face, and demanding a duel.
Oh my God.
When he refused, on the grounds that he was obviously a coward, she beat him with a cane, stealing his snuff box and watch.
Taking these.
Yeah. The next day, she caught him complaining that he had been assaulted by a gang of thieves. She called him a liar and a coward, threw his watch and snuff box at him, and declared that she alone had architected his ass beating.
Oh my God. Oh my God. He got beat so bad by one lady where he's like, it was a
gang
dudes.
of people, and she's like, nah. Fuck you.
It was 20 dudes. They all had guns. They were all like 8 feet tall. And she's like, bitch, we all know what happened. I have proof.
Here's your shit to prove it.
I orchestrated your ass beating myself.
Right. At some point during her career in the opera, she had a legendary duel of wits with Thevenard, who at one point was her lover. It doesn't say if they were still lovers at this point.
Her fuck
or not.
buddy.
And apparently it became quite the talk of Paris, although there was no details on it. At this point, she also fell in love with Fanchon Moret, who was another singer and the mistress of the Grand Dauphin. The Grand Dauphin is the first son of the king.
I was going to say
remember
he's
right.
the prince.
Yeah, so he's the crown prince.
Yeah.
Damn.
Damn.
And she tried to commit suicide when she was rejected.
Oh my God, someone actually rejected her? I was really
I'm
hoping...
sure if you're like with the prince, you're like, I can't. Like, I can't.
Whether I want to or not, this is probably not a good idea.
Right.
I was really hoping for she was so sexually powerful, she stole the prince's gal.
I don't know, I like this next section, though.
Okay.
In 1695, her Paris career was interrupted when she kissed a young woman at a society ball and was then subsequently challenged to duels by 3 different noblemen who were trying to woo the girl.
No. We want to fuck her.
Right.
And then once we beat you, we'll fight each other.
Right. They obviously had to go outside, you know, like, 'cause everyone was like, if you're going to do this, go outside. She fought all of them at once and beat them all. However, in doing so, she fell afoul of the king's law that forbade duels in Paris.
Oh, boo.
However, this fight entertained Louis XIV so much that he pardoned her from any punishment. And even though he had pardoned her, musing that the law governed men but didn't say anything about women.
Oh, shit.
She still fled to Brussels to wait until calmer times.
He was just super jazzed because she was the first one that's like, you want to take this outside?
Right. I love that he was amused and he's like, nah, you're fine.
This is fucking awesome.
And I love that he was kind of like contemporary in that it's like, well, all of our laws state that it's about men. We don't define anything about being a woman and doing this stuff.
Sometimes sexism works in our favor.
So I love that.
Rarely. And it's bullshit either way, but good for her.
So as she fled to Brussels, she briefly became the mistress of Maximilian II Emmanuel, Elector of Bavaria. However, their relationship did not last too long because apparently the Elector was a bit bothered and thought she was a little intense when she stabbed herself on stage with an actual dagger.
The stage blood didn't look real enough.
To get rid of her, he offered her 40,000 francs to leave and never contact him again. Supposedly, she threw the coin purse at his emissary and started swearing at him. In some versions, she also kicked him down the stairs.
Sweet.
Which were totally, whining about herstory canon.
Yes. Headcanon. It happened.
Right? From there, she went to Madrid. She found herself working as a maid to Countess Marino, whom she resented so much that one night before a grand ball, she helped the Countess dress and filled the Countess's hair with radishes so that everyone else but the Countess could see them.
Oh my God.
Needless to say, she was on the road back to Paris before the Countess arrived home.
Were there, no mirrors in France?
I mean, in the 1600s, maybe not.
That's hilarious. That's such a, like, playful prank,
right?
too.
She's
Especially,
like, I hate you, so I'm gonna make you look bad in a society ball, because fuck you.
Considering that she has stabbed herself and burnt down a fucking convent
and
to get what she wants,
people.
radishes in the hair is actually, like, you got off easy.
Right. It's funny. So at this time, she did return to the stage, performing at the court of Versailles and appearing once again in most of the major opera productions of the time. She also introduced, this is when she really started introducing the Italian idea of the contralto, because apparently that was an Italian thing, and kind of like bringing it more to France.
Okay.
She defended chorus oh, nope. It just mentions again that she and Thevenard, as she was doing all this, she and Thevenard remained best friends until her retirement, and although they had some infamous spats, and to the point where one evening on stage, she bit his ear so hard he bled.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I know.
Kelley, I love you, and I'm very confident in our friendship, but if you try to bite my ear off, it's over.
Right?
I have a line.
Yeah.
And it's ear biting.
I know, right? At this point, she at her opera career, she had also threatened to blow the Duchess of Luxembourg's brains out, and ended up in court for attacking her landlord. So, you know, she's just doing all these things.
She's an aggressive lady.
Yep.
It's worked out for her, though.
She appeared for the last time in La Ventine by Marco della Barra in 1705. So that was her last opera performance. However, before that, skipping back just a little, in 1703, so 2 years before she left the opera, she fell in love with Madame la Marquise de Florensac, the, quote, most beautiful woman in France, end quote. So beautiful that she, too, had to flee to Brussels for several years because of the eldest son of France again. So that stupid Dauphine was apparently obsessed with her. Because she was so beautiful.
So the Prince of France is married to a woman that this lady wants and gets rejected, but then he's obsessed with this other chick.
Yep. That Lama Pin is actually, like, they're in a relationship.
Why isn't this a TV show?
Right?
Why isn't Lama Pin's life a fucking TV show?
La Florensac was also one of the most famous, wealthy, and well-connected women in France at the time. The two women lived, according to one account, in perfect harmony for 2 years until de Florensac died of a fever when Julie was only 31.
Oh,
so that would be 1705. Distraught, Lama Pin entered a convent where she died at the age of 33.
The one she didn't burn down.
Yeah. In the words of one, I would like to think she went back to the one she burned down.
Like they just get done rebuilding it. She rolls back up. Right? She's like, guys, I'm sorry. I'm here to do the work. Let's, like, bygones be bygones. Forgiveness is kind of your thing.
Right. So, in the words of one biographer, quote, destroyed by an inclination to do evil in the sight of her God and a fixation and a fixed intention not to, end quote. After which he also claims, quote, her body was cast upon the rubbish heap, end quote.
Wait, when she died, they just threw her away?
Nobody really knows.
What?
But it is funny because it does say the convent she took refuge in was probably in Provence, which is where that first convent was.
They were just biding their time. They're like, yeah, come on, join us. It's totally fine. Right. The second she dies, we're throwing her in the garbage. So
as I said, she died in 1707 at the age of 33 or so, they assume.
That's
she has
so
no known grave.
Young.
Well, I mean, her lover died at 31.
Well,
and she was 31. I guess it doesn't say how old the lover was.
That's why she was getting so much shit done so early, because she was only going to be on this earth for like 30-some years.
As with anything that's kind of from that time period, there's a lot of mystery surrounding this life, and we can't know which parts are true and which are not. One of the main sources I used was someone that was their life. They wrote a book about her, which I read bits and pieces of, and it's actually really good. It's called Goddess. And so he did super intense research, and he was like, to the best of my knowledge, this is the truest story from all these compiled resources I did. So, it's hard to know, but
whining about Herstory headcanon, it's all fucking true. She did everything.
Right. There are some people that speculate that her birth date and place of birth are possibly incorrect, as well as her real name. Well, her professional name was Mademoiselle Maupin, and she was cheered by crowds as La Maupin. Acquaintances often addressed her as Emile, or Emile, in their letters, while Thevencred called her Julia. She has also been known as Madame de Maupin and Madeline, though she is best known as Julie de Aubigny, which is what they think is her birth name. After her death, her life story was reported in a number of articles, and I took this directly from the person I read it from. So, usually in the pearl-clutching, vapor-having tone of high society women that they might use to describe the bride of Satan. Because, obviously. Several of these stories claim that she had a massive change in heart and became religious and rejoined a convent. Given that these articles seemingly only exist to use her life as a morality tale, I'm not sure how literally to take them. Mm-hmm. However, there are some people that agree that she actually spent her final years reunited with her husband and lived fairly peacefully. That's right. You have to remember, during this whole thing, she's technically married.
Yeah, but he fucked off to the south of France, so he doesn't fucking matter.
Right. The quote from the one article was, "Don't worry if you forgot about it. It sounds like she did too."
Fucking A. That's amazing.
I didn't write a legacy section, but there are plenty of, research articles and books. Like I said, one guy wrote a book called Goddess. I did read excerpts from it, and I plan on buying it. It does sound really good, so that's probably the one I would recommend, as I used a lot of his research. She is also on rejectedprincesses.com, so I'd check out that one too, because he's a little more humor. The one guy's obviously like very historical, whereas Rejected Princesses, he's a little more
animated
and kind of like, well, I think this is what happened. But the drawing is pretty cool because it's her running away, like, with a nun, with a convent burning in the background.
I think I saw that one.
So yeah, she was 100% a certified badass and didn't care who she was seducing at the time. She just, she was like, you're the person I like. I'm going to be with you probably only for a few months, but...
You do you, girl.
Right.
You know what I love about her is, like, she kind of doesn't need a legacy section because a lot of the women we talk about, they have this, like, lasting impact. They were politically active or they were openly gay when it wasn't okay to be, and that's, like, a really powerful thing. She was just kind of fucking living to the extreme.
Right.
She was fucking who she wanted. She was killing who she wanted. She was burning what she wanted.
Well, and I like that people are like, oh, some of the things are speculation, but it's like, no, we know she lived because people, like, there's references to La Maupin.
Right.
Like, so it's like, yeah, some things may not be true, but
or
the majority of it probably is.
You know what? If you tell me this isn't true, I will fight you in a duel, and I'll beat you so bad that you tell everyone a bunch of thugs did it, and me and my little 5-foot ass are gonna roll up and throw your shit in your face and be like,
no!
I orchestrated your ass kicking.
Yeah, I am the architect of your ass beating.
I want that tattooed on me. I am the architect of your ass beating.
That would be a great tattoo.
Oh my god. Someone get that tattooed and then send us a picture because that is the best thing in the world.
Right. You will be our best friend forever.
I love it. It's like there are those inspirational quotes where it's like, be the author of your own life story. It's like, no, be the architect of your own badassery and everyone else's ass beating.
That's fantastic.
We're ending on such a high note today, and I'm really excited about it.
We're like both like super jazzed.
I know. I'm really excited because, like, I had some highs and lows this week, but I came out okay.
Yeah, I think today for me in general kind of ended. I mean, obviously it's not over, but like, yeah, the rest of the week was kind of shitty, but today was at work was kind of okay. It was kind of mellow, and then like our stories are really good, and like it's a good ending to the week.
Yeah,
or beginning of the week for you guys.
That's right. That's right. This comes out Monday. Happy Monday.
Yeah, and have a wonderful week.
I hope we're like the highlight of your Monday.
I know for some people we are, because I know like my sister's told me, like, she's like, I get so excited on Mondays, and I'm like, you can like watch it or listen to it at some point like during the week, like it's not gonna go away. And she's like,
could listen.
She's like, no, it's like the highlight of my Monday. Like I look forward to it.
Lindsay, honey, you need to reevaluate your life. No, I'm kidding.
No, keep listening to the podcast.
Let us be the light of your life. We love it. It feeds us.
Right.
Well, what are you thankful for this week, Kelley? My dear, my darling.
I think I'm thankful just for the week ending on a high note, or hopefully for you guys starting on a high note, just the feeling I have right now of I'm less stressed, I feel good, I got to spend time with you, everything just feels positive right now. Positive vibes.
I'm really glad. I'm feeling a lot of that too. I've got this. So I took on a new position at work, and it's a ton more responsibility. It's a lot more work, and I've been so stressed about it. It's been a lot extreme highs and extreme lows, and it's been a struggle. So I've kind of got this thread of anxiety that is always running through me, and I'm having a hard time keeping that down even right now, because I'm the week is over, I can completely tune out work, but I'm
you're still thinking about things in the back of your mind.
Well, I'm okay, what is Monday gonna bring? What did I fuck up today that's gonna come back to haunt me tomorrow? But I got to record with you. These stories were amazing. I'm gonna go to a showing of Jaws later today, which I'm super excited about.
Yeah.
And I'm going to see King of Monsters tomorrow with my buddy, because I have another podcast where I shoot the shit about movies.
I'm just going camping this weekend. I'm excited to kind of get away.
And then we are actually being interviewed about our podcast.
On a podcast. What's the name of the podcast?
It is 9 o'clock Meltdown.
Ooh.
Hosted by Crystal. I'm not going to share her last name. I don't know if that's her deal. But we're being interviewed. Her podcast is that she interviews different creatives, and it's just a conversation. It's really fun. So we're really excited to be on it. Super fucking anxious. So we're recording this on a Friday. We're doing the interview on Sunday. I'm not sure when it'll be out, but we'll keep you updated.
Yeah, we'll definitely post it on, Facebook, maybe even get a little blurb for Instagram or something.
Oh, we're blasting this.
Yeah.
It's a big deal. I'm really excited. This is our first interview.
I know.
Oh my God.
We're getting out there.
Hopefully not the last.
No, hopefully not. Hopefully we'll be able to co-podcast with a bunch of other creatives.
That'd be super fun.
I would love to co-podcast. If you're out there with the Wine and Crime Gals, do something on, female killers or, kidnappers or just something.
They've done episodes those are my favorites, where they profile female killers, because I find them so fascinating.
So I think that would be cool if we did maybe historic female killers. I know they've covered
Elizabeth of Bathory.
Yeah, the Butcher of Bathory or whatever.
Yeah.
But I'm sure we could find people haven't heard of.
Oh yeah.
So
there are a lot of.
So if you're out there and you're listening, Wine and Crime Gals, give us other Minnesotan gals a shout, and let's do something.
We'll split some wine and some lutefisk.
Gross.
I fucking.
I'll leave you to the lutefisk.
No, I can't. It's awful.
How about some casserole?
Oh, some hot dish.
Some hot dish.
Tater tot hot dish.
Tater tot hot dish.
Oh my God, that sounds so good.
I'm sure I can find a wine that can pair with it.
We'll go to the Minnesota State Fair and get the bucket of cookies.
Yeah, get everything on a stick.
Everything on a stick. Hot dish on a stick.
That actually is a thing.
I know.
I know there's people out there in the world listening going what the fuck is hot dish on a stick? But it exists.
Well, we'll look at
I've never had it.
We'll look at the butter sculptures.
They also have deep fried butter on a stick, which sounds disgusting.
I bet they have wine on a stick. It's a popsicle.
Ooh, that would actually be really good. We might have to go and look for that this year.
It's a boozy popsicle.
That'd be delicious. All right, we should probably let these poor people go.
Thank you so much for listening. Please hit us up on Facebook at Whining About Herstory, Instagram at WAHpod,
Facebook at Whining About Herstory.
I just said that.
Oh, that's right. You always do our social media. Website, whiningaboutherstory.com, and email, whiningaboutherstory@gmail.com.
Hey, if you want us to feature a woman that you know in our Say Their Name segment, please email us their story. We'd love to read it on air.
We can also feature you if you maybe you're doing some really awesome project. Let us know.
Self-love. Acknowledge you're a fucking badass.
Right.
Look in the mirror
Don't
and be
go burn any convents.
I'm a badass.
You're a badass anyway.
Yeah, you don't have to. We do not advocate burning convents. I know we were.
That was in 1600s or 1700s France. We do not advocate it in modern day.
I know we came off pretty pro convent burning, but we're not. Seriously, don't do it. All right. Well, thank you so much for listening. This has been Whining About Herstory. I'm Emily.
I'm Kelley.
And have an empowered day. Bye.